Okay, good morning. We're going to go ahead and get started with the notes. You have your objectives here at the beginning of your notes, and this may be pretty rough since this is my first time doing this, but we're going to start with what is the population of a study. So the population is the group of subjects we want to know something about. After we pick our population, then we have to consider, is it something that we can look at the whole group, or do we need to just look at a smaller group and make that representative of that? So then that leads us to our sample, and this is the subset of the population. And with that, we will collect data from that group. So the subset of the population from whom we collect data. When we collect data, we can do a couple of different things. What we're going to do first is a sample survey. A sample survey takes a sample, and we draw some kind of conclusion about the population based on the sample. And it's important to make sure that that sample survey is quality and easy for people to work with. So the sample survey is the instrument we use to collect data to draw inferences about a population. So the instrument we use can be a survey that's written, it can be a verbal survey, it can be any type of survey that you will choose to do. When we start to do surveys, we will have to take a convenience sample, and a convenience sample is one that allows us to choose individuals who are the easiest to reach. So this is a sample that is easiest to reach. That could be your family members, that could be your classmates, that could be the people who are around you every day. And convenience samples aren't always the best, because if we think about the first people who come into the classroom, they would always be the ones that would be there. So if we were asking a convenience sample, or our parents, they may not be the representative group that we want to talk to, but they are there, and that would be the easiest to talk to. When we start to do these sampling processes, both of these, or all of these different sampling methods that we use to choose our samples can lead to some bias. And bias is something that consistently underestimates or overestimates the value you want to know. So this is when sampling methods lead to consistently over or under estimating the value you want to know. When we ask surveys of people, say for example you call people on the phone and you want to ask them something, or you are on American Idol and you want your family to call in and vote for you or text a vote for you, then we have this idea of voluntary response sample. And a voluntary response sample is people who feel strongly about the issue, so they reply. People who do voluntary response really do feel like they can easily access the information, and people will strongly feel about the issue, then they will reply in that case. I did not mean to delete that. People who feel strongly about issues will reply. It's an open invitation, so anyone can reply. Then the next piece that we have is the simple random sample, which we talked about yesterday. And to do a simple random sample, it's very easy. We can say that every subject receives a number and some method of random selection occurs. Each individual is equally likely to be chosen, and each group of n subjects is equally likely to be chosen. So a simple random sample would be if I took everybody in the school, I put them in alphabetical order, everybody got a number, and then I decided I was going to put in the random generator in the calculator 1, 1100, and then I was going to choose groups of 10 or groups of 100. Then every individual is equally likely to be chosen from that random selection, and each group of n subjects, so each group of 10 people or each group of 100 people, is equally likely to be chosen in that case. Okay, so we've got population, so that's the first thing we need. We've got a sample. We have a sample survey. That's the instrument we're going to use to learn the information. We have to choose the sample, so do we do it by convenience? Do we do it by voluntary response? Do we do a simple random sample? And then lastly, we have the next page, and we're going to talk about the table of random digits. The table of random digits is a table that was produced to allow students to randomly select people when we did not have graphing calculators. So the random digits table allows you to randomly select subjects after assigning specific numbers and rules for choosing them. So we have to assign everybody a number, then we have to decide, are we going to start in the first row and select every other number? Are we going to pick numbers 0 through 9? So the key is here that the numbers that are generated are 0 to 9 or 00 to 99 or 000 to 100. The situation determines what types of digits you choose. So if we were looking at something being like 50% of the time somebody did well at waking up on time every day, then we would have to say that 50% of the numbers that we have available would have to represent those people. If we did 0 to 9, 50% of the numbers would be 5 of the numbers. So I would assign 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 to represent the people who wake up on time. And then 6 through 9, that's 6, 7, 8, 9, and 5. Those people would be the ones who would wake up not on time. Sometimes the 3-digit numbers are when we get to values that are not as easy to work with. So if I said 25%. It becomes a little harder, 33%, those become a little harder. And as we get into doing the examples in class tomorrow, then this will be a lot easier to understand as we go through them. Okay, so on this first example that's just below here, the table of random digits, I'm just going to go through this really quick. An archaeological dig turns up large numbers of pottery shards, broken stone tools, and other artifacts. Students working on the project classify each artifact and assign it a number. The counts in different categories are important for understanding the site, so the project director chooses 2% of the artifacts at random and checks the students' work. What is the population and what is the sample? So we would have to look at the bigger picture and say, what is it that we want to know something about for the population? And then what did we actually select as a sample to record the data so that we would have some information to maybe make an inference about the population as a total? So we're going to get into those as we move forward tomorrow, and identifying those populations and samples. So again, this was the first video, not so great, but the next one will be better. See you tomorrow.